Hey guys and girls, welcome back to YYC Designz Custom RC Creations. I'm Twist, and as you can see, the moose is loose in the shop today. You betcha we're going to be working on Miss Moose, and we're going to be fitting some doors and some other stuff. In case any y'all don't know, this is a shop where we make all metal, fully functioning replicas of real vehicles into RC 110 or 1/8 scale. Even 1/16 scale. Moose here is a 1/16 scale replica of a 1939 Diamond T 3-ton truck. It was a W69, I believe it was, in World War II. I am actually going to make it a civilian version, and it will also be a replica of a 5-axle tow truck. So kind of two vehicles in one. I borrowed the design concept from a gentleman down south named Mr. Malachi Mckay. He is on YouTube here as a creator. I will post his channel right in here for y'all and put a link in the description below. And yeah, he has a very good channel where he shows his day-to-day working with a Peterbilt 1140 4-axle rotating wrecker. This wrecker that I am building, I've kind of copied a couple of them. Pratt is another gentleman here on YouTube, and I have stole a bunch of ideas from him, or rather borrowed, since his videos are public. I am borrowing some ideas from his rotating wrecker. He also has a sliding rotating wrecker, which is what Moose will be, is a sliding rotating wrecker. And so between Mr. Mckay's and Mr. Pratt's wreckers, you will, I am going to make a 5-axle dual steer tandem drives. And let's see, what else can I tell you about her? Well, she'd be fully functional anyway, but that does include, by the way, the cab. The doors always work. Usually I make the hood open. On this one I'm not going to, only because it's going to be easy enough to just lift the cab off to access the motors if I need, and all the electronics are going to be hidden under the driver's seat, so I'll be able to just take the doors off to access that. So access to the motors and electronics is going to be easy enough. Anyway, yeah, let's get going on here, and I will try and put a mock-up together at the end of the video so you see a little bit of what she's going to look like as a final product. So I will continue on. We'll get some work done here. So, and if you haven't, please subscribe. There's lots here to watch. We do, like I say, anywhere from 110 and 1/16 scale all the way up to 8 scale. Miss Voodoo is an 8 scale. Root Beer and numerous others are a 10 scale. I have 2 16 scale wreckers on the go, as well as I have some 16 scale boats, and one, I'm not really sure what her scale is, of McHale's Navy PT-73 I am doing a replica of. So anyway, that gives you lots to watch, but it gives you new folks an idea just what we're doing here in the shop. And I basically do a video on one of the models that I'm working on, so that way it never confuses anything. Nobody ever gets wondering what belongs where. So I only do the video on a single vehicle at a time. But yeah, I've got 8 on the go if memory serves. And so let's get started. Let's have some fun and see how far we get with Moose today, yeah? Okay, well, Moose doesn't look all that much different from the first shot y'all seen. There is a difference. You'll notice a steel plate under here. I'm just going to remove Moose now. Sorry about the noise there, guys. Now, this is just a steel plate that is going to bolt onto the frame. I'll have holes drilled through it so that it can just mount right onto the frame. Of course, this is where the motor will end up. So basically, we'll have motor. Okay, this will be all electrics under here, basically where the rear seat is going to go. And of course, this is about That dotted line is about where the cab is. So basically I'll end up drilling holes in here, mounting it to the frame, and you'll notice these little brass tubes, yeah? One will be welded into each corner. Inside each brass tube will slide steel rod, like so, and steel rod inside gets welded to the door, and that way it will hinge the way it is meant to hinge. So let me just pause for a moment here and we'll continue on, and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, so basically all I gotta do is fit the new floor panel. Sorry, I'm trying to line this up as I'm trying to talk with you, and I'm not exactly great at multitasking that way. So, okay, goes together so, and on the back here there's a tab which will sit inside, holds the floor nice and secure. Thus we have the floor all nice and secure in the cab. Then you'll notice a turner so you can see it here. Okay, we'll have the post that I was talking about mount in here, and the rods slip inside so once it's welded on, that will actually hold up the door, but make the door removable, yes, because I'll be able to just slide it right up so, and slide the door back into place, and then the door can pivot with the rod, as hopefully you can see there, and that way I will end up having a suicide door on the cab. Suicide meaning it hinges from the rear and opens so, kind of the way the old-timey doors did. Now this truck originally of course had the doors opening the regular way from the front, but because I'm putting in a dual steer axle, I want to make it open so, and that way your step will be about where the front or the rear front axle would be, and the fender, so you can step on that and hop down off of the truck. If you were the little IG Joe guy that was driving Moose, obviously I can't show you exactly because I don't have a little I guess a doll to go inside, but basically the fender will land here and come all the way along the front. So for the front steer axle, the rear steer axle, so you'll step on the rear steer axle and come out of the truck and exit, and that's why the suicide door. If, however, I put them regular, I suppose you could still do it. I just like the idea of suicide doors better. I think it makes it a little bit more unique, and yeah, just makes it a little bit of a different model compared to most, yeah? So all I got to do is do a little bit of fancy welding, so this post will actually mount all the way up the side of the truck. So, and that way, when I want to, or if I ever need to, I can actually get the door out of the way so that I can access, of course, the electronics. And if I need to, there will actually be screws into those little tabs that you've seen into the floor, which will hold the cab onto the floor. I can undo the cab and just lift it right off and have access to all my electronics, as it keeps all the crap and corruption off of the tires out of the cab as much as possible, because I'll just cut out a little square so that the drive shaft and all that can fit through, and that way I keep all of that crap and corruption out of my motor and out of my electronics as much as possible. We just put in a little, kind of like the hump in your car now, in your car or your pickup, except it's a flat floor. So but basically it's going to end up being the same thing. I'll cut a hole where the hump would be, and that way the drive shaft and all that connects it out of there. Yeah. As well, I got to make 2 little cowl panels to do the fill-in work here. So I'll cut it out of this little piece of tin, yeah, and I'll make a couple of little panels that I can weld in there, and with the hammer and dolly do some nice shaping and give them a nice curve to them like the windshield pillar has here, and bring this all out in one curve to mate up with the door. That is also where a rare earth magnet will be mounted to close the door. So when the door eventually shuts, then you just have a rare earth magnet here, one on the door and one on the pillar or whatever, and or just one even. And I'll mount the handle here, cut out the window of course, and there will be a piece of Lexan go in for the window and a rare earth magnet to hold the door shut. And yeah, or I could even just make the little handle slide ever so slightly and do a little lock up here rather than using magnets. I tend to like the magnets though. I like how they give me a final look, and you don't have any cut slots or anything in the door. I can just weld on a nice little door handle and do as I please, and then the magnet just holds the door shut against what will be the pillar anyway. So I will continue on and cut the pillars out of this little piece of scrap tin. And by the way, it's only 18 gauge steel, 18 or 20 gauge tin. It's not very thick stuff, but it's nice to weld with. It doesn't just run away on you and take off and start cooking on you, as I should say. It takes the heat pretty nicely. But yeah, it's actually an old furnace. The old doors on an old household furnace is all it is. And as a matter of fact, Moose is made out of my mom's old furnace, and this is just all old furnace tin, and there we have Moose. Yeah, so I will continue on making these cowl panels and do some more stuff, get these welded up, and we'll be back to show you how that looks when it's all said and done. Yeah.
While you and me repeat, this bittersweet heat is suffocating. I'm waiting and always hesitating. Kryptonite desires set my heart afire. Heart on fire. Set my heart afire. Suffocating. I'm waiting and always hesitating. Kryptonite desires set my heart afire. Heart on fire. Set my heart afire.
In case you're wondering, there's a little trick I use here that when I'm welding my door posts of this style that I make. Now this here obviously is the post. There's obviously one on the left side as well for the left door. You can see it there in the shadow. But there's this one here. Let me throw a little light on it here so you can see a bit better what I'm talking about. So welded at the base, welded inside. Now those unfortunately are going to be very difficult to hide, but I do hide it in basically the interior of the truck. So I'm using actually the interior, I guess, styling or whatever you want to call it in the truck, and I hide these posts. I wrap them in a bit of leather and across the back behind the seat to hide them. So those are the upright posts. Now when I show you the door here, y'all will understand where I'm going with this. Now this is the door setup. This will slip down inside of that brass tube that you see there. This will slide down inside it. Ergo, it has to be welded onto the door. Let me get rid of this light because now I'm glaring on y'all. Okay, so it has to be welded here. And I've got it welded exactly. I've got it set exactly. Now, I use my vise with a magnet underneath. Being as this is tin, I just put it on the magnet. It makes a nice solid base. I don't burn anything. And I use another magnet to hold the door post where I need it to be so I can weld that little tab. Now, once welded, that will allow the suicide door to swing out. So let me get this welded and we will do a little mock-up here and show y'all what it looks like in the end. Okay, now we're all welded up and basically there it is. Now obviously a little adjustment is necessary for the fit. As you notice at the back here, I've got quite a gap. That's just a matter of just bending things a little bit and adjusting them. But this gives you the idea, yeah? So there's the door hinge. The door will, when it's adjusted, open all the way properly. But there's your suicide door setup. And again, like I say, little adjustment needed. This left one isn't fitting quite as good as the right one is even. Or maybe not at all, just because I've got it on the workbench here. There we go. Kind of got hooked on the cab, but there we go. Gives you the idea, yeah? So there's your suicide door setup. After I make the adjustments and obviously cut out the side window, put the Lexan window in there, you have your door. So there we go. So there we have Moose's doors all set up, and all I got to do is adjust them, fit them, and do a little edge cleaning. As you notice, the edges are still sharp and so on. I am gonna put a little piece. I actually am gonna carve out a basswood door panel for this. So the basswood will come around and actually glue on here, eliminating this sharp edge and give the door its thickness that you want. Yeah, you don't obviously want a door just a piece of tin like that. So I will I will carve the seat, the dash panel, the steering wheel I will probably make out of steel for this one, and but I will cut out and carve door panels for it so that it has the nice interior door panel with armrest and all of that jazz, and make it look as realistic as absolutely possible. Didn't get much done by the way of looks, but this stuff is all fiddly and does take a lot of time to fab up. And yeah, what can I say? This is just the way it goes in the shop. It just takes time to make these pieces, and you can spend literally hours and hours and hours perfecting them, and it's not all exciting for video, so there's no point in showing you the dull stuff of just tweaking this and tweaking that, but at least you get the idea where she's going. So her cab floor is made, her doors are made. Next, we will be going to work on the box and her boom. I don't have enough money saved up yet to get the actuators I'm going to need, but it's not going to stop me from at least designing what I need. I've been in contact with Actuonics, who makes the linear actuators I'm going to need to make her boom function, and at least I can get exact sizes, throw out all of that, so that I can design the boom and design it for those actuators so that they can just bolt right in when I do have the money available to purchase them. So anyway, that's kind of where we're at with Miss Moose, and this has been Twist with YYC Designs Custom RC Creations. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give us a big thumbs up on the bottom. It would be really appreciated. And always, we really thank and appreciate our subscribers. And please share the video. Alrighty, guys and girls, apologies ladies, didn't mean to eliminate you there, but y'all have a good rest of the work week, and thumbs up for a weekend here that's going to be really nice. I hope. It's pissing down rain here today like it's a monsoon season, so we're hoping to dry out on the weekend, but we'll get you this one out, and then we will have something new for you near to the end of the weekend with another one of the models. So until then, y'all take care and be good. Have fun with the hobby. Enjoy your RCs. Bye-bye.
Thank you.